An important component to any story is a good villain. A well-made villain never fails to capture people's attention, bringing an excitement and intensity that audiences love. Villains we can relate to, who have perspectives we may understand, have become very beloved and popular in today's storytelling. We sympathise with them, we understand why they are doing what they are doing, but we shouldn't forget how important and great villains like Ozai are and can be. Sometimes the irredeemable villain, the one we do not pity, the one we do not sympathise with, can be just as great for completely different reasons. Ozai is the most powerful character for a great majority of the show, someone everyone else must try to rise against. You see, Ozai's role in Avatar isn't necessarily for us to have direct interest in him, but his role is to amplify our interest in the characters we follow. His embodiment of evil is the reason many of the characters in Avatar are so great. There are three, in particular, whose stories are directly tied to Ozai: Aang, Zuko, and Azula. With every decision they make, whether it be for or against him, Ozai plays a big role, even if he is not present. I believe he is what makes their character arcs so interesting. While Ozai can be considered the manifestation of evil, Aang can be considered the manifestation of good in the show. Though he has moments of anger and selfishness, what he constantly works towards is peace and mercy, a set of morals Ozai directly challenges. He makes Aang question what is right, to stay true to his duty as an air nomad and pursue mercy in the face of evil, or to be loyal to his duty as an avatar, to end the Firelord's reign, whatever it takes. For a brief moment, it seems the only way to defeat the monster is to act in a way that is similar to the monster. Push aside empathy and take his life. It wasn't Ozai himself that was so captivating in this instance, but it was the decision Aang had to make, which wouldn't have existed if he wasn't confronted by a malevolence in Ozai that couldn't be reasoned with. It was Ozai's evil that made Aang's path of mercy, a path true to his air nomad duty, a challenge to remain on. Something that made Ozai stand out from similar corrupt villains was his role as a father. The reason we hate Ozai isn't due to him wiping out and subjugating nations. Such acts are too immense for us to even comprehend, but it is how he scarred his son, moulded his daughter into a weapon, and denied his wife any form of happiness. That is why we despise him. As a father, his duty was to be a strong foundation for his family, but instead he was the reason they fell apart. Ozai's massive role in the lives of Zuko and Azula heavily impacts on their character arcs, and the only reason their arcs are so great is because of their father's sinister presence. Ozai is the reason Zuko is sent down on a path that either leads to corruption or redemption. Zuko has two people influencing his decisions: his uncle Iroh, who always remains by his side, and his father Ozai, who always remains at the back of his mind. The two brothers, the main figures in Zuko's life, mirror each other as complete opposites, offering Zuko two differing paths to take. Ozai's path is one Zuko looked upon, one he could have taken. It is a path we saw Zuko beginning to take. But with Iroh remaining at his side, and Zuko slowly but surely recognizing the flaws in his upbringing, he was able to steer onto the path of redemption. In the young prince's journey, Iroh represented someone Zuko could become, but so did Ozai. Again, Ozai isn't interesting himself here, but his constant looming presence over Zuko's mind the lasting mark he had on his son, made Zuko's character arc so compelling and one of the best ever written. Azula is different from Aang and Zuko, as she is never challenged by her father, but even worse so, she is a victim who is too late to help. We all know the quote, Azula was born lucky, while Zuko was lucky to be born. But she wasn't born lucky. She was born into being a weapon for her father to use, put on a pedestal at an early age, one that would be torn from beneath her if she ever made a single mistake. This pressure to perform, this conditional love, is not luck. It's more akin to a curse. Abide by your father's wishes, or turn out like Zuko, the banished prince. With a father who required perfection to be pleased, Azula didn't even have a mother's love to fall back on. Ozai's depraved form of parenting made Ursa put one child above the other, effectively pushing Azula away, further into the darkness, to follow the path of evil so she may obtain some semblance of love from her father. Ozai's lack of empathy makes Azula force hers away, though we do see it crop up every now and then, like in the beach episode, the only episode where we saw a glimpse of a character without the pressure of Ozai standards. Here, we see Azula express what could be considered genuine affection for her brother. But every other time, she pushes her empathy away, because she has to, so she may thrive in this world. The final Agni Kai is a perfect example of what this evil effect can push people towards. A sad, somber battle between two siblings, fighting to kill the other. To be loved, Azula must be perfect, but when she is finally defeated by Zuko, she was defeated by the one in the family considered a dog. This, of course, made her far from perfect. So, in that moment, as she wailed and screamed, she felt completely unworthy of love, a mindset Ozai had driven her towards. Ozai never had a character arc of his own, but his existence played an important role in making these arcs so memorable. But that doesn't mean Ozai's character got no attention of his own. The show did a brilliant but small thing. This image of Ozai as a baby was a perfect, simple way to remind us that Ozai isn't some god of destruction, but a human, like us. A horrible, horrible human who craves power, but once, for a very brief time, was innocent and good. A time when all he cared about was playing in the sand. This shows how evil can stem from anywhere. It's a disease that spreads and can fester in anyone if not treated. Azulon was not a great father himself, and Iroh at that young age did not have the experience to offer Ozai guidance like he did for Zuko decades later. Perhaps if Ozai had someone who stood by his side and tugged him away from the darkness, like Iroh did for Zuko, maybe, just maybe, he wouldn't have turned out so bad. But that's been far-fetched, and turning away from who he is. Ozai doesn't have an ounce of good in him. The only thing he cares for is himself, but while Ozai isn't relatable, he is realistic. There are those who are pure evil. Within real history, there have been people of power who are just like him. As we see him try to kill a young boy, scar his son, and burn down countries, while his methods are fictitious, conjuring flames from his fingertips, what he represents is very real. This is a part of what makes him terrifying, and what makes him have a real effect on all the other characters. Avatar isn't a story of good against evil, but it's a story of people trying to do good against evil. And Ozai's role is to be the face of that evil. It is important that when we write, we remember these types of villains exist, not just because they create great stories, but so that people don't forget these types of people. The irredeemable, the pure evil, are very real, and so is the effect they have on people's lives.